And you recall yesterday the engagement you had with Commissioner Khumalo about the selection panel. You testified at length that this panel was constituted by Khumalo, and Commissioner Baloyi wanted to understand about, no, I asked you, no, she asked you a different question. I asked whether or not that panel had been approved by a higher authority, higher than Khumalo, and if it was so approved, whether then is it appropriate to say that it was constituted by Khumalo, because it's subject to approval or rejection by the higher authority. And I look at page 200. And on this particular page, at 201, it's signed again by El Nkua, Lieutenant General, Acting Deputy National Commissioner, Support Services, dated the 6th of June 2024. At page 200, one sees that, and it reads, approval is hereby granted for the following selection panels to conduct the selection processes for the indicated posts. The first bullet point relates to some posts. The second bullet point highlighted in yellow is our post. So in both cases, the selection panels were approved. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree.
So I would suggest that there were legitimate panels put forward to who I take to be the final decision maker, General Nkua, Support Services, who had the authority to reject the proposed panel or to accept it or to recommend amendments and changes. So at the end of the day, she had the final say as to who constitutes the panel.
Yes. Yes. Commissioner, Chair, Commissioners, the request or election of the panel, when you look at A1 on page 200,
yes.
Page 200?
Yes.
When you look at A1, this A is the Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence. So this letter is coming from the Divisional Commissioner, or addressed to the Divisional Commissioner Crime Intelligence. So it's saying to you, your office information note 451 volume 49, signed by the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection refers, right?
Yes.
There is a letter, or rather, the panels are not, requested from crime intelligence, meaning these are the people that, they request to be on the panels. So it's a request from crime intelligence, General Khumalo. These are the people that I select for the different posts and panels, and it is sent to Head Office Human Resources, and it gets approved there. So the approval of the panel takes place there, and the acting Deputy National Commissioner at that time was General Nkua. She approved it.
Yes.
Yes.
So the only point I sought to make that it's not correct to say Khumalo constituted this panel, conducted interviews, and ended up recommending Mrs. Mukwele and suggesting that there was anything wrong with the constitution of the panel. And I say so because the proposed panel, which I accept would have been put together by General Khumalo, was approved by the right authority within SAPS, which would be Lieutenant General Nkua in this case.
That's correct, Counsel.
Yes.
But must emphasize the point. Panel was selected at Crime Intelligence Office. The panel was selected by him. It was not approved by him.
Yes.
So let's get that clear.
Yes.
The panel was selected by General Khumalo, sent to approval for Head Office, because he cannot sit or have those panels without approval. Head Office must approve it. So that's basically the standard procedure. You nominate who you want on your panel and send it to Head Office. But the emphasis on the panel was selected by General Khumalo he recommended it for approval to Head Office.
Can I just ask, Colonel, that it was recommended by General Khumalo, is that not in accordance with SAPS protocols that he, as the head of crime intelligence, would would constitute or recommend a panel. You accept that to be, I don't know it to be the position. I'm asking you because you've done the investigation. Is the constitution or the recommendation of a list by General Khumalo, who is the head of crime intelligence, is that contrary to SAP's prescripts?
No, it's not. It's as I explained, it's normal. You're the head of office, you select the panel. These are the people on the panel, and it goes to head office for election. It's normal.
So we can't make anything of that fact alone. You can't just say, as you were doing yesterday, you can't just say, it seems to me, you can't just say, he constituted the panel, therefore, or he recommended the panel, therefore, that's a sign of capture. The people that he constituted it means it's an indicator, rather, of a plan to capture crime intelligence. It doesn't go that far. If the prescript allows him to recommend a panel, there's nothing wrong with that.
If the prescripts allows him, yes, Commissioner.
And
that's
you
my
say,
answer.
and you accept that the prescript
accept.
allowed him to do that?
Yes, the prescripts gives him that authority to choose that panel and then send it for approval. And I think that is more or less what I meant yesterday. Not that he approved his own panel and carried on. That panel had to be approved by head office. Thank you.
Can I just check this for clarification also? In that A1, it refers to an information note by the Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection on 14 May 2024. So who would that be at the time? It wasn't General Khumalo.
The Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection
Would be Sibia, would be General Sibia.
Would be Sibia, under which the Division Crime Intelligence reports.
Yes.
So basically, General Khumalo would have selected his panels,
Yes.
and then it would have went to Deputy National Commissioner Sibia to sign off, and the approval comes from the head office. That's the tier there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. And if we could just run forward then to page 453, page 453 under CJC 371.3. Starting at page 419.371.1, that now is the pack for the recruitment process in 2022. And just to compare with the approval process that we've just discussed, this is what transpired in 2022. And in 2022, we see once again, it's the same. And at item 2, its approval is granted for the following selection panels. Now, if you flip through that document to the end, if I did not mention, I forget if I did, but this is dated 2023, my mistake. This is for the 2023 process. At 457, it's signed by Ntia, Lieutenant General, Acting Deputy National Commissioner, Support Services. And this particular one now had a litany of panels. So if you start at page 453, it's different panels all the way to that last page.
Pardon me, Chair.
Yeah.
I forgot to switch it off.
Oh.
Apologies, thank you.
Thank you. We were at page 453. These are now the panels during the 2023 recruitment process or cycle. And it's got a litany of posts with different members constituting different panels. My interest lies at 454, page 454. That post 2302, 3462 highlighted in yellow, that's what I call our post. And in 2023, that was the panel that was approved, led by General Khumalo, members General Lushaba, General Mulajana, yes, I'm correct, and General Khan. And so the 2022 as well has got a list of approved panel members. So this seems to be the usual process that panels are put to some authority who decides whether or not the proposed panel is approved or not.
That's correct.
And the same process was followed in 2024, resulting in the appointment of Mrs. Mukwele. So would you agree that insofar as the issue of panel and constitution of panel that appointed Mrs. Mukwele, there is no concern there? Is there still a concern about that particular panel?
On the particular panel that we had concerns with,
Yes.
and as we know, that General Kumalo can only put up a recommendation that these are the panel members, and its head office approves it.
Yes.
But when we look at the panel of Mukwele, we had concerns there because he selected those people, although he didn't approve him, those panel members, all right? But you can see from the recommendations of the panels that sent to head office for approval, those recommendations hardly change. If we look at all three of the advertisements and the recommendations from head office or the approval, nobody was removed from the panel and said, no, don't put this one, put that one. So that's the only thing, that only comment I have there, if you understand me, Commissioner.
I'm trying to understand because I wanted to clarify whether or not the constitution of the panel that appointed Mrs. Mukwele is an issue. Is there an issue as regards its legitimacy, that panel? Because I thought we had just established, because it was approved by seemingly the person who is mandated or empowered by SAPS to approve such. Once approved by that person, then there can be an issue about the panel unless the challenge is to the approval itself by the higher authority. But that doesn't seem to be your case. Yesterday, your challenge was to the constitution of the panel, and I just wanted to clarify that now that it's approved by, I think it's General Nkhuwa this one time, is that a properly constituted panel, or are there still concerns that the commissioners should have regard to?
The panel is approved by head office.
Yes.
There's nothing more you can say about it.
Yes.
It's approved by head office. So when I say it's approved by head office, it means it's authorized. So the point that I wanted to make yesterday is that the panel was selected by, although it was not approved by him because he could not approve it, it was selected by him, it went to head office, it was approved. So that is an approved panel. That's it.
You said something about the panel not changing. I think you started that. You said, well, yeah, it was approved, but if you look at the three different panels constituted, they never change, and then you stopped at but. I think there's a point you wanted to make about the changes to the panel over time. Maybe you should make that point.
Yes. When we look at the selection, or let's look at the three sets of advertisements where the panels that are recommended to head office to approve. The recommendations that sent, they all were approved without any changes. So it flows through. So your recommendation that you sent, that's the panel, head office approves it. So not one of those three was it not approved. That's the point I want to take. So normally to reach out, meaning that the recommendation that you make, it is very rare that head office is going to change it. Put it that way. Taking it from the three, you could see the pattern that is not changed. So that is just what I want to say.
But you're not saying that's a problem of General Kumalo?
It's not a problem because it's approved by head office.
Okay.
Unless, there's something else there. So let's take it as the panel is approved by head office. It's an approved panel.
Yes. Okay.
But, Colonel, in your affidavit where you applied for warrants of arrest, you took issue with the constitution of the panel. IDAC inserted itself in the panel process, and IDAC said, why was Khan not put in the panel? Why was so-and-so put in the panel and not General Khan? Why does IDAC have that difficulty? Why is it IDAC's business who should or should not be in the panel that interviews at crime intelligence? Why is it IDAC's business?
Can I respond?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner. Sorry, Commissioner, I thought you were raising your hand. We are charged with an investigation. And we draw that inference from the investigation that we're charged with. So when you look at the panel is recommended by Khumalo, it's chosen by him there. Although he does, that's what we are speaking to. The panel is not chosen by anybody else at that office. Like, who can we say?
No, we know who
Yes,
chose it.
it
Just
chose
deal with
the
what
panel.
problem is,
So
yes.
what we are saying there is that he chose that particular panel and sent it for recommendation, and it was approved. And the issue we have there with it is that there was other crime intelligence generals that he could have used to sit on the panel, because it's a sensitive crime intelligence post. It's a covert post.
But
And
is that not for General Nkua and General Sibia to say, I'm not happy with this panel or I'm happy with it? If they are happy with it and they approve it, what business is it of IDAC to say, we would have preferred Khan there and not that person? Why does IDAC involve itself in those things? IDAC does not constitute panels that interview candidates in crime intelligence. Why does IDAC go to court and say to court, I want warrants of arrest issued because I'm not happy that in that panel that general was there and General Khan was not there? Why is it the business of IDAC?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner. The panel was one of many reasons, many causes in the application. It's not just only
No,
the panel.
let's talk about the panel.
Yes.
No, don't discuss the others. Commissioner Khumalo is raising specifically the constitution of the panel, and that in your application for a warrant, it was important enough, and in your charge sheet, it was important enough that you mention it, that one of the problems or one of the issues is that they didn't include other generals, and you specify General Khan. You don't mention anyone else. You said, like General Khan, and the question remains, why does it matter to IDAC? What business of IDAC is it that SAP's senior managers have approved the constitution of this panel? Where do you come in as IDAC?
Chair, Commissioners, this is the response that I can give to it. It follows through from my investigation. Although I am saying the panel has been approved by head office, but the recommendation of that particular panel started with General Khumalo. So it's one of the inferences drawn from the
How can you draw an inference when the prescripts give him the power to constitute a panel? What inference can you ever draw from the constitution of a panel? If the prescript says the power lies with Khumalo to constitute his panel, what inference is there to draw when he does exactly that which the prescript does? And in this case, you're not drawing an inference of anything. There are no facts on which you draw an inference that it's problematic.
Yes.
You actually say, well, he should not have included, I think it's Gabela, he should have put in other crime intelligence officers. For example, General Khan, quite interestingly, you say, for example, General Khan. The question is, what does IDAC care that General Khumalo has proposed, recommended a panel, which his superior, General Sibia, has approved, and you don't arrest General Sibia for approving. General Nkua approves. You do not arrest them. You don't include them in your list of the people who did wrong about constituting the panel. The bottom line is, why is it IDAC's business when General Khumalo constitutes a panel that he is allowed to do by the prescript, which doesn't say it must be constituted by people from crime intelligence? It doesn't. So you make up your law or your rules or your policy and say there should have been only people from crime intelligence because that's a sensitive area. Where do you, what's your standing to prescribe that? And I would like you to answer that question. Commissioner Kumalo asked the question, what is your business in how SAPS prescripts, because this is provided by prescript, in what SAPS prescripts allow, and in this case was complied with, superiors approved. What is IDAC's business and interest in constituting SAPS panels? You can answer if you have an answer.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners.
Colonel, if I may, Commissioner, perhaps let's go to the charge sheet and see how you had expressed yourself in that charge sheet in the context of this question. If we could go to file 6, if we're not already, file 6. We dealt from page 2373. That is your affidavit in support of an application for a warrant of arrest.
Page again, I'm sorry.
2373. In that affidavit, in support of that application for warrant of arrest, you do make a number of points, including this issue, but perhaps it would be easier if we go to 2424. 2424 is the charge sheet which starts at 2418, same file. That's the start of the charge sheet. And at 2424, page 2424, you have a chapter there headed, the appointment of accused 7, we know accused 7 is Mrs. Mukwele, as section head of the Technical Support Services, TSS, Crime Intelligence, CI, head office at the level of brigadier post number, you provide the number. At sub 1, you start by mentioning that TSS is a National Covert Operations Unit located in CI and is highly specialized. At sub 2, you say it was advertised on that particular date. Then you reference the national instruction at 12.4, item 4. You state the selection panel was chosen by accused 1, and it comprised of accused 1 as the chairperson, and the other panel members were accused 2, 3, 4, and 5. You see that?
Correct.
That is incorrect.
Correct.
That is incorrect. It wasn't chosen by General Kumalo. The panel here. You are suggesting that the panel that interviewed these candidates was chosen by General Kumalo. We have just established that it was recommended, perhaps by General Kumalo, for approval by the higher authorities and was approved. So that statement there is misleading. Will you accept that?
In my 12.4, the panel was chosen by accused 1. It was chosen by accused 1.
Okay.
Meaning that comes from the recommendation part of it. Yes.
You just omitted.
That was chosen by General Kumalo, but it still has to be approved by head office, which is the prescripts, as Commissioner Baloyi explained. The panel was chosen by him at that level.
Okay.
But do you accept that it's misleading to have put it that way? Because a reader of that paragraph understands only that General Kumalo constituted this panel and he presided over it. That's a misleading statement, because if you had intended to be fully transparent about it, you would have said it was recommended and it was approved by his superiors. You didn't. It's a misleading statement. Do you accept that?
Noted, Commissioner.
And just to confirm, nowhere in this charge sheet do you speak of that panel being approved. That somehow is omitted in this charge sheet.
Can you
Oversight, perhaps, or whatever. I just want to establish as a fact that it is not there. The approval is not referenced here in the charge sheet at all.
The approval is not referenced here.
Okay. Then we go to 12.5. Accused 5 was not based in the CI environment, and accused 5, for the record, is Gabela. You say it was not based in CI environment, and that And at that time, there were at least 6 other major generals based within CI, in parentheses, provincial heads, CI, which included Major General Khan, who was based at the CI head office. That's what you state.
Yes.
Now, I referred you to this part of the charge sheet, which you drew up, presumably, or at least you approved, so you present to
Correction.
court. You present this charge sheet to court in the terms that it states.
I
It's
just want to-
under your affidavit.
Just want to correct you.
Yes.
You said, I drew up the charge sheet.
Yeah, it's assumption on my
Those
part.
are the prosecutors are responsible for
Okay.
drawing up the charge sheet.
You presented it to court
Yes.
in arguing for the issue of a warrant. So you made,
Sorry, I apologize. It's semantics because you give the prosecutors this fact. Where would the prosecutor get 12.4 and 12.5? Where would the prosecutor get these facts that are put in 12.4 and 12.5 of the charge sheet?
That's correct, Commissioner.
They would
but
come from you.
I hear you.
Yes.
But the word is, I drew up the charge
No,
sheet.
no, it
So we're
doesn't
correcting
matter.
that.
Colonel, it's semantics. You give him the facts, he draws it up. It's like me when I say to my PA, type this for me, and they type. They don't know the facts, they type. So here he draws it up because you gave him these facts. He did not make them up. They don't come from him. They come from you as the IO.
Noted, Commissioner.
thank you, Commissioner Kumalo. And I drew you to this document because you were a part of its creation. Alternatively, you approved it, and I say that in a very, not in the strictest sense, but you made common cause with it, enough to present it to a court of law in support of your application or an application based on an affidavit you deposed to for the issue of the warrants. So you have to accept responsibility for this, whether in its creation or presenting to court to argue for the issue of the warrants. There can't be a challenge. It's your affidavit. It's your annexure. Can you accept that?
Noted, Counsel.
Okay. No, noted is not very helpful because I don't know if you agree, you disagree, or Swiss air, I don't know. Do you take some level of responsibility for the facts placed before the court?
I say noted, Commissioner. And the reason why I say noted is that I still got to appear with the same affidavit before a criminal court, so I'm saying noted.
So if you are still to appear, it's already on record.
So,
You can't change.
We want to know where you stand on the facts, Colonel.
yes, I'm saying noted on it, Chair, and that's the
That
furthest I'm going to
sounds,
take
that
it.
sounds evasive.
Chair?
That sounds evasive.
Chair, I'm not going to take it further than to just say noted.
I'm going to ask the question differently, and hopefully we get an answer. In the IDAC, when you have told us that this is drafted by the prosecutor, it's prepared by the prosecutor, you said, and then you say you've accepted that it's based on information that you give. In your internal processes, what happens? How does this get approved? Does it go through, does the chief investigating officer get a look at the charge sheet before it goes out? Does the head of institution, Advocate Johnson, do they look at this before it goes out?
Yes, the prosecutors draft the charge sheet. Mm-hmm. The charge sheet is presented to the deputy, and from there it goes to the head of office and the management from that process.
Okay.
As I explained to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
You remember we took this circuitous route to try and assist you in answering a question Commissioner Baloyi had put to you. And the question was, what business does IDAC have in approaching a court on the basis that, as in this instant, crime intelligence constituted a panel one way or the other and did not include a specific person? That was the question. And to show to you that that is actually the issue that was put before court. So Perhaps you may answer Commissioner Baloyi.
On the charge sheet with regards to Kumalo appointed the panel.
Why was it IDAC's business, the fact that General Khan was not part, for instance, of that panel?
It's not part of the business, or IDAC. Why was it IDAC's business? It's an investigation where we are saying business, the business part of it is something else. The Kumalo chose the panel, and we bring it to attention as we're showing a part that he played in the initial process, if I can explain it better that way, with regards to the remaining steps of the eventual appointment of Mokwele. I'm not saying there's no way here that I say he approved the panel. He chose the panel. So that's one of the starting steps of it. Although the panels, when they get approved, not by him, it gets approved by national. But the starting point is that he chose the panel. So that's just one part of the remaining, irregularities, or whatever you want to call it, to the bigger picture which flows from there.
So you insist that it's an irregularity?
I'm using that.
You insist that the constitution of the panel was irregular? Because you're now saying it's one of the irregularities in the big picture. So sitting here today, having seen the approvals, do you still insist that the panel was irregularly appointed?
Can I respond, Commissioner?
Can you just say yes or no, please, Colonel? It will save us a lot of time, and I know you are stressed. You said you've been here for the whole week now. Either the panel was irregularly constituted or it was regularly constituted. It's really that simple. So to keep going back and say he chose it, he recommended it, somebody else approved it, those facts are already in. We have those facts already. Knowing all those facts, do you still insist that the panel was irregularly constituted, yes or no?
Commissioner, the panel was, when it was approved, it was properly constituted. Yes. My point that I'm drawing on, and I have to explain it, and it just cannot be a yes or no. What I'm pointing out to a fact here, that Kumalo chose that appointment, but it was authorized, meaning that it was properly constituted when it was authorized there. But the choosing of the panel by him, where he chose the particular people to be on the panel, that's what I found, not as irregular, the start of what that led to the appointment of Mokwele.
But the impression you are creating to the court, because you've completed the investigation, and you don't say to the court, this panel was nominated and approved in accordance with the prescripts. You don't say that. What you are saying to the court is, he appointed the panel, look who is there, look who is not there. That's what you are saying to the court after you've done the investigation. By that time, you knew that the panel was properly constituted in accordance with the prescripts. And if it was not, you can tell us that National Instruction so-and-so of this year does not allow him to nominate members of the panel to be approved by General Nkua and General Sibia. You can tell us that if you have that fact.
Thank you, Chair, Commissioner. The fact that it is not in the charge sheet where head office properly constitutes a panel and it is not there, I can take that no further. That's my answer to it. This is what I wrote in my affidavit, handed to the prosecutor. She or he could have changed it in any way. But to answer the question and not to drag it on, and I cannot take it any further, is the fact, this is what I wrote in my affidavit, that he chose the panel. The fact that I didn't put in that this panel was also approved and constituted, that's my answer, and I can take it no further, Chair.
And then if I just to close off on that point, as you say in 12.5, of what relevance is the fact that General Khan was not part of that panel? of what relevance is that to the question of criminality? Because this is in the charge sheet. What is the relevance of the fact that General Khan was not part of that panel?
Wait, you're talking about criminality, about General Khan or whatever, that wasn't on the panel, so that's criminal. No, that's not the inference. That he wasn't on the panel, so now it's criminal.
Oh, okay.
No, let
Hence
me
I'm
explain.
asking, yes, the relevance. Thank you, sorry.
We have 9 provincial heads in the country, crime intelligence. We have maybe 3 generals at crime intelligence. Any one of those 9 plus the 3 at head office could have been chosen to sit on the panel, not specifically Khan.
No, but you
It could have been
specified him here.
Any one of them. The fact that Khan's name is mentioned here, but it's also mentioned here that provincial head CI, which included Khan, were available.
The question is, why did you not pick any other name of the provincial heads? Khan was not or is not the only general in crime intelligence who is a provincial head, if he is a provincial head, but it's not just him. So why did you not mention any other name? And I'll say to you before you answer that the impression you have created with specifying him is that this may well have been about his exclusion. You were punting for him. Taking issue in 12.5 is in fact about the exclusion of General Khan in particular from the panel, from the interviewing panel. That's the impression this paragraph creates, because you cover it by mentioning that there were other 6 major generals that could have been chosen within crime intelligence, but curiously, it's General Khan that you mentioned. And what we know about him is he was in the previous panel, of the previous panel that did not succeed in filling this post. We know he was there. Yes. Now he's not in, and you take issue and you give him as an example, and it gives the impression that in fact the complaint in 12.5 is about him and not any other crime intelligence officer that could have been part of the panel. What do you say to that?
Thank you, Chair, Commissioners. Let me first start by General Khan. As of today, and everything that is surrounded General Khan and his activities, his names will stand out now, no matter where it gets mentioned. It poses a question mark there. When I put this in, the other provincial heads, including General Khan, who sits at head office right next door to the panel, that's what I wanted to say, he is there. So it was including him there is not to say, but him particularly in that instance. And at that moment in time, mentioning this name meant nothing, but mentioning it now, and any way in our investigations, raises that, stands out. So I take it from there, Commissioner Baloyi.
No, Colonel, I don't ask, it's your answer, but I have to leave you with this. I don't accept that mentioning him here meant nothing. I don't. It's curious that it's him specifically that you mention. So I hear your answer. You've given your answer. It's your best answer, but I don't accept that it was as innocent as you want us to believe.